look at the view from here. Check out this museum. I'm gonna have to go in there and take a look what's going on. We're a little bit further away from the French Quarter, closer to the Superdome. We've got this museum here we want to come and check out. Hello world, it's your Unkle Heavy, and I gotta tell you, I'm freezing. I'm on location in New Orleans, Louisiana, and it's like the coldest day of the year I picked to come here and check these out. No big deal, because I've got FDR right next to me. So, I'm here at the World War II National Museum to check it out. And as you know, with most museums, I know it's about World War II. I know they've probably got some old war machines in there, but I haven't really seen what's going on in there. It'll be a first trip for me, and I'm bringing you all along. So let's go get some tickets and see what kind of trouble we can get into. Do come along. I wanted to just start in the outside and have a look around at this unbelievable building that we have here, housing this. This is a very impressive entrance, I have to say, despite the fact that I'm absolutely freezing. Looks like outside there is a statue of Anne Frank here. So starting right off the bat, I'm loving this main entrance. We have some nice pieces here. There's a landing craft over there and a few airplanes hung up. And it looks like there's some sort of an interactive ride here on a train car that I think we're going to go check out now. It looks like it's a model of a Union Pacific train, and we're going to go in and watch a movie. So we get this proximity card that resembles a dog tag, and we're going to interact with this video shortly. And it's going to associate us with a person who is in the war.
I landed on D-Day with the 1st Infantry Division on Omaha Beach. Our Higgins boat hit a sandbar, and we jumped into the water and
This is the person I'm attached to, and I'm going to interact through the entire experience here at the museum and see where she lands at the end of the war when I'm done.
Now that you've met the individual you're going to follow, it's time to start your journey. Head to the Campaigns of Courage Pavilion to continue with the next chapter. Thank you for visiting the National World War II Museum.
So here's the view from up above. Pretty impressive entranceway. Using a little aircraft here. Starting our journey here. This just shows the beginning of the growth of Germany at the beginning of the World War. This gives you an idea of the strengths of the different armies at the time. And this was Germany, and how badly the odds were stacked against the Allied forces. Some American and French helmets here. Post-World War I.
And our fleet back to our own before it is too late. The task of the people is freedom of every person to worship God in his own way. Freedom of one. How do you feel about it? You think we're going to win?
They have fight. I mean, it's very for it.
Sure is. It's 12:30 today. Well, I was surprised that it was up 2 points. I'll tell you, I didn't want it to go to war like everyone else would like to see down. settle down and make yourselves at home.
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. North America. I'm the executive. This is Joe New York, and I respond to all official, representing the Lady of Reed Society, and also the previewing YouTube's championship fight between heavyweight champion Joe Louis and Buddy Bear.
Yeah, yep.
That is the reason why I masters take out and spread the for you a map of the whole earth. To follow me in the references which I shall make to the world-encircling battle lines of this war.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And you do not need non-combat lawyers. Encountering the same discrimination, segregation, and service that they face back home. Still,
This is touching on all the Japanese Americans that were interred during the World War.
white and black citizens, the best quality of jobs,
We are all Americans. My ancestry is Japanese.
Here's just a diagram of all the women who served during World War II. Incredible. This is kind of interesting. These are like identification cards for enemy versus allied aircraft, and I remember we had playing cards when I was in the Army. Similar to this. I mean, they weren't World War II vessels, but we certainly had them and they were available. And this certainly brings back memories. This is a dog tag embosser. This is how they used to actually print out dog tags.
Higgins manufactures landing craft. The Brown brothers build destroyer vessels. Kaiser produces Liberty ships.
Representing manufacturing here. This shows how America retooled manufacturing to supply the war effort. Any manufacturing facility was converted to whatever they were manufacturing to change their products to items that would be used in the war effort. This looks like it's the casing of a airplane engine. It's actually made by Packard. Some of the weaponry used here. So that's a 50 caliber M2. We used to call them Ma Deuces in the Army. Those are 50 caliber rounds. I don't know how many rounds per second it can fire, but it's a pretty nasty weapon. A couple old bazookas here. M1 carbides. And that looks like a Thompson submachine gun right there. And we used to, I don't know what the nomenclature model is, but we used to call these grease guns. I'll probably look up the nomenclature, but it's just a pretty nasty automatic weapon. 45 caliber pistol. Okay, so maybe you should read the instructions before you do the filming, but this is a range finder. And what the Germans would use to find the ranges to direct fire on sea vessels. There we go. This is a model of the tower that that device was actually mounted in. Not much about it that's said. That's pretty interesting. A couple of different kind of mines here. That's a anti-personnel mine right there, and this is actually an anti-tank mine. It's pretty vicious. This is a CG-4A Waco glider that would land, well, this is kind of dark, silently during the invasion. Normandy. They reference it in Saving Private Ryan, but this is what they look like in real life. That's pretty impressive. You can see here they were actually made of balsa wood rather than aluminum or steel, but this is what it would be. Balsa wood covered with like a canvas, sort of like a model airplane. This is actually a special part of my history. These are known as wigwags. I served in the Signal Corps, and this was the symbol of the Signal Corps, the two wigwag flags. This is an American soldier's helmet where you can see a machine gun bullet actually entered through the front and exited through the rear, and amazingly the soldier was not injured. So we just watched a movie called Beyond All Boundaries that they have here. It's pretty amazing. It was like a 4D presentation that you'd see in like Disney. So I highly recommend if you come here and visit, do spend the extra money, check out that movie. I'm all teared up now. It was very touching. This is a nice view from the bridge connecting the European arena to the Pacific arena exhibits. It's got a nice view of the outside, and it looks like the sun actually came out. Got some pretty cool sound effects going on here too. So into the Pacific arena we go. This is very cool. They have it done up very much
Australia and New Zealand
in a jungle setting.
lines coming from the United States. A pivotal step in the Japanese strategy involves building an airfield on Guadalcanal from which to launch their air attacks. On the other side, the U.S. must launch its first land attack.
There's an actual Japanese sword and officer's pistol. Sort of have like a MASH thing going on here. This is a bit disturbing. They actually have a flamethrower here. Sorts of scary looking machetes and knives and fragmentation grenade. I'm always a sucker for old World War II aircraft. That's for sure. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Michelle's back of her head. Here they all are. Stalin, Churchill, Roosevelt, Hitler, Mussolini. The big five of World War II. They've got a pretty well preserved howitzer here. That's a very impressive piece right there. Look at the size of those rounds. Unbelievable.
Allies finally pierced the Gothic line. But still, the fighting drags on.
War trophy. although it's hard to see it with the camera, you can see everybody who was involved in this that signed it. It's all faded now. But yeah, this is definitely a war trophy taken by soldiers. And look right here, this is a Zippo lighter. And if you recall, when I did the tour of the Zippo Museum, the Zippo lighter was actually part of the GI's general issue equipment. That's a shameless plug, by the way. So we can't help but point this out. If you look how tiny this flight crewman's jacket is, it's not so much that people were thinner back then. I mean, they were kind of thinner back then, but it emphasizes the point of how young these soldiers actually were when they were fighting the war. This was probably an 18, 19-year-old kid who was a crewman on the ship, or I mean a crewman on a plane, or even possibly a pilot, but it just goes to show how young they were. It blows the mind. Absolutely blows my mind.
Crossing the English Channel to an awaiting enemy.
Just blows my mind.
At 4,500 feet, Major Dewhurst's aircraft leads Heavyweight 2, the second element of 18 bombers. As they reach the French coast.
And this is part of the World War II culture as well. This is the famous pinup girls that GIs would put while they served to look at and boost the morale a little bit. Many of them ended up on the sides of airplanes as well. I do like how they've gone into the details of making it look like a bombed village. There's even there's bullet holes here too. This is a very, very, very old cultural reference here. Anybody remembers?
Headquarters, we hear lots of tanks.
So many amazing displays here.
Navy German, please advise. Over. Negative, Baker 3. Can't be hearing any German tanks. They're on tank. Over. We hear armor in the area. Over.
When do you attack?
Despite any weather, fast Americans defending German advance. Not fully replied.
I can attack with 3 divisions in 48 hours.
Unbelievable.
After 6 years of war, Allied soldiers are certain they have seen the worst of Nazism. But nothing prepares them for what they are about to discover. They stumble upon...
That was the National World War II Museum here in New Orleans. Overall, I thought it was pretty darn amazing. We spent about 3.5 to 4 hours in here on top of an hour-long movie, and well worth it if you're in the area. I know it's not a very touristy thing to do, but it was very, very cool. So that's going to do it for this video. Hope you all enjoyed as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please give me a big thumbs up down below. Share this video, tell your friends. Hey, if you're new to my channel, check out some of my other videos. If you like them, consider subscribing. Make sure you hit that bell so you'll be notified of any future vlogs I put up. Till next time, signing off from New Orleans, Louisiana, the World War II Museum. Bye-bye.
Fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army